We're going to chat all things Paralympics with Ironman double amputee world record holder Billy Monger, who joins us now. Very good morning. Thanks for joining us. We'll start though with Formula One, shall we? It off the track almost. It was a dramatic week and just gone in China. What did you make of that decision to disqualify both of the Ferraris, Charles Leclerc and of course Lewis Hamilton?
Yeah, I mean, for me, obviously that's come as a complete shock. It's the first time two Ferraris have been disqualified from one race, so big news in the F1 world. But both the disqualifications were black and white, really. They broke the rules with the car being underweight. That's just no sort of allowances with that. And then with the skid wear, that just seems like it's probably been a miscalculation from the team. At the start of the race, when you're full of fuel, you get a bit more skid wear, and it just seems that they didn't quite get those calculations right over at Ferrari. So it's a shame to see both cars disqualified. Incompetence
or bad luck?
It's a whole heap of factors. It's not just down to one thing how you calculate the skid wear. So I'd probably say it's a bit of both. You've obviously got to leave a bit of margin to the rules so you don't get caught out. And obviously Ferrari didn't do that, but equally there might have been some other factors at play in that one.
Yeah, it's a shame because it was looking like a good weekend for Hamilton, wasn't it? Before that, he won that sprint race Saturday. Do you think he'll be able to go on and win more races this season with Ferrari?
Yeah, for me, it was great to see Lewis win, in his second actual race for Ferrari, because there's been a lot of talk around that move. It's been one of the biggest things that's happened in Formula One across the entirety of the sport, really, seeing Lewis Hamilton, a seven-time world champion in a Ferrari. But yeah, it was a really strong weekend for Lewis. And although, the result on the main Grand Prix has gone out of the window with being disqualified, for him it will be a big confidence boost, and I think for his relationship with the team, because moving to a new team can be tough, but he's obviously proved that when they get it right, they're capable of winning races, which is what he would have gone across there to do.
Yeah. Interesting news this morning from Red Bull. We hear that they are considering Liam Lawson's future already. Some talk that he could lose his seat at this early stage. That would be really damaging for him. Do you see that really happening?
It's so hard to imagine, especially with all the effort from the team side to, Sergio Perez was under contract before they got Liam Lawson in to replace him, and they had to negotiate his exit early. So there was a lot of effort made by Red Bull as a team to bring Liam Lawson into that seat alongside Max Verstappen. So to think that after two race weekends, they're already looking at his future, I mean, it's hard to comprehend, but equally Liam knows that the performances he's put in so far haven't been good enough in comparison to where Max Verstappen is. Max Verstappen, he's been right up there in the top 5 minimum, and Liam Lawson hasn't got out of Q1 yet. So he's got a lot of work to do. The next race is in Japan, and it's at a circuit he knows really well. So from my perspective, I think it would be silly to not give him that opportunity in Japan. And also, if you put Yuki Tsunoda in for Japan, he's a Japanese driver. He's got enough pressure on his shoulders. It could be too much for him to handle as well.
Yeah, I hear you. Not such troubled waters in another team. Oscar Piastri won in Shanghai yesterday. McLaren going really well. Is this the standout car this year?
Yeah, for me, there's been a lot of talk around McLaren, and rightly so, because they've come out of the blocks firing on all cylinders. They've got, for me, the fastest car, and I think there's a little bit of margin there. I think they're still yet to unlock its full potential, and I think that is what, if you're a McLaren fan, is exciting, is because at the minute there's been some close calls. They haven't won, obviously. They didn't win the sprint race. Oscar Piastri finished second in that, behind Lewis Hamilton. And before the start of the season, everyone after pre-season testing was saying, oh, they might win all the races. And I think that they could win a large majority of them. So yeah, Oscar Piastri, Lando, Norris, McLaren, they're all in a good place right now.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what they would do tactics-wise in the Drivers' Championship if they kept kind of going as they were. But you cannot rule out Max Verstappen, can you, at any moment? Any chance of him making it 5 in a row, or will those team orders go in Lando Norris's favour this season and he will take it?
For me, it's hard to talk about team orders yet, and we've done 2 races out of 24, so there's a long, long way to go. So I think if you're McLaren, whatever you're doing so far, the strategies you're deploying is working because they finished 1-2. They got the maximum amount of points out of that one as they possibly could. So they need to just keep their heads down and keep working hard and keep extracting all the performance. From Max Verstappen's side, he'll be slightly concerned with where they're at right now. I think from a personal point of view, Max has extracted the maximum out of that car, and that's shown by the margin he's had over Liam Lawson, because Liam is no slouch. He's not got that Red Bull seat because of many factor of reasons. So Max Verstappen is really excelling in my eyes. He's really performing as a world champion should. But I think it's a tall order to see where the car is at now, him being able to, over a whole season, consistently outscore the McLarens unless Red Bull brings some more performance to that car.
Yeah. Okay, that's Formula One. While we got you here, I want to talk about you because I'm excited about that. Now, you've made a big decision. Tell us all about that.
Yeah, so my recent announcement, and as recent as yesterday, was that my sort of sporting focus and attention is going to be to aim to go to the LA 2028 Paralympics and to try and bring back a gold medal in the para triathlon, which is quite a big statement, but that's my intentions really.
Wow. Okay, because I have watched the film of the Ironman in Hawaii last October, and having watched what you went through, I'm wondering why on earth you want to do this. You set the world record for a double amputee, and what was noticeable in that film is your coach was saying this is normally a 4-year build-up to something like this, and you were trying to do it in an 1/8 at the time, weren't you? Tell us about that.
Yeah, the Ironman world record for comic relief was at the time the longest sort of project and the biggest challenge that I'd faced to date, because it took just over a year to train for it. Like you say, it's normally for most people they take 4 years to attempt to go to the World Championship event in Hawaii, because it's seen as being the hardest one-day endurance event in the world. So it was a roller coaster of a journey. It was a process where I learned a lot about the sport of triathlon, starting from being a complete beginner in terms of I could cycle or bike a bit, but I had never had a bike fitting and I was not quick or powerful on the bike. I couldn't swim front crawl. And it took me, when I first started running, I would be in pain after 5 kilometers, but also I was running 5K in about 30 minutes. And with the upcoming challenge that I've mentioned, the para triathlon, the people in my category, you're probably talking, you've got to be around an 18, 19 minute 5K runner. So there's a lot of work to do.
Oh, I'm just doing the maths there. That is incredible. Because watching the film, there was a stage, I think you were about 5 miles into the marathon, and you were in a lot of pain. And there was one moment where you were kind of walking, and I couldn't hear what was going on in your brain, but I could sense that, come on, I've got to go, I've got to go, I've got to go. And you started running again, and that kind of moment took my breath away, because the mental strength you have got to do that is unbelievable.
Yeah, with an Ironman, so the world record that I was trying to beat was 16 and a half hours. So that just gives you a bit of perspective on how long that event goes on for. It's a 2.4 mile swim, it's a 112 mile cycle, and then a marathon all back to back in the heat and humidity of Hawaii. And there's challenges during every single minute, every single hour of that challenge. And one of those, on the marathon in particular for me, because I'd never run a marathon before, was overcoming those mental battles and disregarding as much as possible the pain that was going to be inevitable from running on my blades after doing 9-10 hours of exercise. Like my legs were battered and bruised by the time I started that marathon. So to try and comprehend that I hadn't even just run a marathon before, and then I've got to do it after having already done all of that other stuff, it was super, super tough. But I think in a weird way, the para triathlon at the Paralympics, I'm doing the same three disciplines. I'm doing the same sport, I guess you could say, but it's the complete opposite end of the spectrum. For me, as a racing driver, I've not got much patience. So training for the Ironman, I had to really learn that, skill of patience to be able to sustain and keep myself mentally focused for 14 and a half hours. But in the Paralympics, it's all out as fast as you can, swimming 750 meters, cycling 20 kilometers and running 5K. And it's flat out racing for just over an hour, which excites me.
Yeah, because that frustration, I saw it in the film when you're even trying to click into the bike, wasn't it? That must have caused you a lot of frustration just to learn those sort of things, those aspects that perhaps people don't understand. When you were running the lowest point, what was your inspiration at that moment? Was it the fact that it was the charity that you were doing it for that really spurred you on?
Yeah, massively so. The whole reason for taking on Hawaii came from my work with Comic Relief. I did my first challenge for them back in 2021, which raised just over £3.2 million. And I got the chance to meet some of the projects and foundations they support, the people they support, on day-to-day basis. And it really inspired me, and it made me really realize, I guess, the impact that the money we were raising had. And the idea and the inspiration for taking on a world record Ironman came from the fact that I wanted to do more for Comic Relief. I wanted to do more to raise, money for the charity. And we came up with the idea together. So it's kind of been this weird full circle moment where the first challenge gave me a real sense of purpose because I was, raising money for people who needed it the most. And then the second challenge, I've discovered and found a sport that I've thrived in, I've excelled at, I've got a world record at, but also that I really love on a day-to-day basis, just the journey of trying to get better at these three different disciplines. And now I'm in a position where I'm taking on the sport, and trying to go to the highest level possible, go to a Paralympic Games and try and win a gold medal. So as much as I've done work for charity, through my work with Comic Relief, they've also given a lot back to me, and I'm just super pumped and excited to get into this project. And it is a long-term project. It's 2028. It's a few years away yet.
Yeah. So what are the preparations and the time scale then? You've got a bit longer than you did for the Ironman. What are they looking like for LA 2028?
It's kind of more of the same of what you saw in the documentary, but obviously my training will be a lot more tailored towards that sprint distance and that higher intensity. So the building of the foundations kind of happens over the next year to 18 months. So that's where it will be all about, making me a powerful, strong athlete, where I'll be learning about how I gain the qualification points for the Paralympics. I'll be getting integrated into the Paralympics GB sort of setup that they have over there with the coaches and trainers, some of which I know from my training for the Ironman and from my experience going to Paris Paralympics last year for Channel 4 and helping present and seeing the para triathlon firsthand there. So there's a lot of learnings over the next 18 months. And then after that, it is just all out intense training focused on trying to make it out to LA first of all, and then, to try and bring back that gold medal, because that's my ambition.
Billy, truly an inspiration. Thank you very much.
Thank you.